Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of My Burning Hearts. So this will probably be the last video of My Burning Heart without voice acting, since I believe voice acting was completed or will be completed on Monday. So look forward to that. Next time we see Adnan and the Sultan, I won't be voicing them anymore. Thank God, right? Yeah, thank God. Your Majesty! The man made a sound in his throat, already more than half asleep, and of course we picked apologize because we're trying to get in good with the Sultan. I'm sorry for lashing out before. It was uncalled on my part. I think what just happened was, I don't even know. Adnan just told his heart-wrenching backstory to the Sultan or something. The Sultan smiled and buried his fingers in Adnan's long mane. It's alright. And thank you for having so much patience with me. Oh, Adnan. Suddenly awake, Rashid claimed Adnan's mouth with fiery passion, which puzzled and amused Adnan in equal parts. Well, what just happened? Oh, I guess that scene's over. That was a little bit of a weird transition. They've never did transitions like that. I don't know, just weird. Why did it zoom in like that? Whatever. The next day is stretched into weeks, and Adnan was finally starting to appreciate the poetry book. Once he overcame the difficulty at understanding each word, he started to enjoy the way the poet seemed to play with the words, adding them rhythm and making them feel like music. It was the first time ever Adnan found the language treated this way, so it was surprising and enjoyable in a way. Oh, found it at last! Those sentences Rashid told him that time. In bed, he looked so happy. So smug. He had found the whole poem after looking so long for it. Full of curiosity, Adnan carefully read the rest of the poem. He kept reading until 2 verses made his heart leap. Every fiber of my being is in love with you. Wow, how could His Majesty be saying things like that aloud, especially to a slave? Hadn't he got any shame? I mean, he's a liar. He's still sleeping with other slaves, and especially the women's harem. Yuck. Right, guys? Yuck. Some of the other nice sentences the Sultan had whispered in his ear late at night were also in the book. Decided not to overthink the meaning. Decided? Is it supposed to be Adnan decided? Adnan decided not to overthink the meaning of those love words. Adnan thought it would feel like an accomplishment if he could confront the Sultan about his cheesy flattery. The man surely thought mumbling some pretty sentences would make every ignorant lover's sigh for him, right? Well, Adnan would teach him better. Well, he's gonna show the Sultan. I'm sure he's not gonna get a phallic object in his mouth as a result. That night, when His Majesty called for him right before sleep time, Adnan showed him the poetry book. The Sultan glanced at the book, and then back at Adnan's face, with curiosity. So you're reading Rumi now? Surprise! I found all those cheesy lines you tell me. He flicked through the pages until he found the poem he was reading that same afternoon, and tapped the page, looking at the Sultan with a winning grin. Here, you told me these words one night, see? He turned the pages until he found other poems he wanted to show Rashid. And this one. And this one. And here too. Rashid chuckled, clearly amused. Yes, and? Adnan felt how his face burned with anger, not getting the reaction he expected. That is, that Rashid felt embarrassed because Adnan had found the source of his eloquence. I mean, was he ever claiming to have been the poet? And you didn't invent those words. You didn't invent the words you're saying now. You're still saying them. Of course not. I'm not a poet, my dear Adnan. Although I can appreciate a beautiful poem when it suits exactly my thoughts about something. Or about someone. He looked pointedly at Adnan, who in turn looked away, feeling very awkward. It was difficult to pretend not to understand what he was implying, especially after reading that love confession in the poem. But I am really happy that you like the roomie. It's not too difficult for you, right? Let me show you another favorite of mine. And he took the book from Adnan's hands and started perusing the pages. Ah, here. Don't go anywhere without me. Let nothing happen in the sky apart from me, or on the ground, in this world or that world. Without my being in its happening, vision, see nothing I don't see, language, say nothing. The way the night knows itself with the moon, be that with me, be the rose, nearest to the thorn that I am. What do you think? Do you like it? His arm was wrapped around Adnan's waist, and the slave felt confused and uncomfortable, dizzy with the words, and the Sultan's spicy fragrance. He poured a little cayenne behind his ears. Very spicy. Not bad, but I still think they're cheesy. Nobody with an ounce of dignity would say them aloud without feeling embarrassed. Rashid sighed and offered him a sad smile. Are you sleepy yet? Would you like to turn in? Is that code? Yes, please. Is it code or is it not code? Yeah. I don't even... I read that before I said it. The sheets reeked of fresh semen and sweat, which didn't belong to Adnan. The boy pursed his lips and tried to suppress his anger. Wash the sheets! How you be inviting other boys to your bed after just laying with another boy and you don't wash your seats? I don't... That flip was beautiful, Adnan. Well done. That flip? Was he doing acrobatics now? Is that what the harem is trained to do? Haha, I have a good teacher. Just a couple times more, and I think you'll get the hang of this dance. What is this one for? I don't understand why we have to do so many dances. This one is typical of the harvest season. We'll dance in front of all the guests in a special dinner, where all the land's owners will come to the palace to offer the best pieces of their harvest. Will they want to see a group of men dancing for them? This made Halim chuckle. Oh, Adnan, you know what they say, when in the Sultan's palace, do as the Sultan does, and the Sultan loves boys. I guess the girls' harem is also preparing their own dance, Adnan. We'll offer music, songs, and His Majesty will hire some itinerant actors. Oh, I see. But don't worry, the harvest party is still 2 months away. I just want you to feel ready when the group rehearsal starts. Is Adnan given up on escaping? Is he just looking forward to the harvest party now? Oh, only Halim would do things like that in advance to avoid other people in order to avoid other people to feel embarrassed? Adnan marveled. That's really mindful of you. Halim, leave us for a moment. I need to talk with Adnan. Adnan didn't miss the sudden frightened eyes of his friend. I can wait in the veranda if it's not going to take too long. I said leave. Yes, Your Highness. Oh god, what does he want with us? The man approached Adnan like a hawk and would approach its prey. Well, well. Practicing a dance, I see. I'm glad to see you working hard to keep your status in the palace. Congratulations are in order, I guess. Oh, I don't think Adnan will like that. It's like congratulating him for being a dog. Adnan stared at him with confusion. Congratulations? Yes, it's obvious you have reached the most coveted status of the Sultan's favorite. Honey, I reached that long ago. Come on. You've been trying to convince me, Adnan, that we haven't been the Sultan's favorite, but all along, since the moment we first laid in the Sultan's bed. Seriously. The man clapped his hands, but his smirk told Adnan he needed to be careful around the visor and not buy a single word from him. Now that you've climbed as high as you can climb in this palace, maybe it's time to give back. Give back what? Don't pretend you don't get it. You aren't as dumb as you seemed at first. So don't try to fool me. Is he trying to get with me again? Hasn't he tried this like twice now? Ugh. You're perfectly aware that I'm still waiting for my compensation for not telling His Majesty about your strange concept of freedom. Believing that you have freedom, of course. That's your strange concept of freedom. The visor went closer to Adnan, and the boy could feel his cold stare and the hiss of his breathing, as solid as a shackle constraining his neck. I don't think the Sultan would even be happy, would even want to allow Harun to get with Adnan. I don't think he would be happy about that. I really don't. And Harun really needs to like try a new trick, because like it hasn't worked the other 2 times he tried it. He cleared his throat, trying to put aside the kind of imaginary... Imaginary? Imaginary? What? Imaginary? I don't know what that... Is that a word that I don't... Am I an idiot? Is that a real word? That's not imaginary. I don't know what it says. He cleared his throat, trying to put aside the kind of... imaginary the visor always prompted in him, and took a step back, putting some space between them. Is it supposed to be imagery? I don't know. I've never seen that before. I don't think that's a word, but I'm probably just stupid. Appease him with good words? No, I'm getting angry. I'm not trying to get with Harun. The words went out before Adnan could control what he was saying. Go to hell, you crazy bastard! The visor gritted his teeth and grabbed Adnan's forearm in a vice grip. Who do you think you are, kid? I could destroy you right now if I wanted. Then do it. He twisted Adnan's arm in a rather painful way. I don't even need a whip or an excuse. Stop it! Or what? Don't you see? You are powerless. He released Adnan's arm, but whispered his next threats directly on the boy's ear, so close that his turban brushed Adnan's cheek. I'll have you one way or another. You choose if you want to make this easy, or you want to make this hard. Kind of like me right now. Maybe make it hard. But I'll break that stubbornness of yours and bring you to your knees. This I swear. What? Is he gonna have us tied to a bed or something? Is he gonna get like the other harem boys to tie us to a bed? Like, I bet he would. Hey, is everything alright there? Harun's getting a little alarmed by the guard. Does he not want the guard, like, passing on the message he's been rough with Adnan to the Sultan? A guard appeared at the doors that led to the harem's common room and jogged to the part of the garden they were in. Your Highness, is this slave bothering you? The visor frowned, visibly annoyed by the interruption. Nothing is happening here. However, the guard pretended not to notice Harun's furious face and gripped Adnan's forearm, pulling him away from the visor. You are not allowed to address His Highness or give him trouble, boy! Go back to your duties, now! Adnan walked away from the visor as fast as he could, not stopping to watch the visor's reaction. I wonder if that's the guard that's in love with Halim. At passing in front of the harem, he had a quick glimpse of Halim watching the scene from the windows in a veiled way. So that was the reason behind the guard's appearance. Oh, it was! It was Halim's little boyfriend. Blessed Halim! Adnan kept walking past the harem's common room. He needed some alone time to calm down. His blood was frozen and his hands still trembled. That madman, he had really bad intentions. That was clear. Clearly, it was clear. He's had bad intentions since day one. You've seen that. Are you just coming to this realization? Why was he so obsessed with Adnan? I mean, Adnan has a good booty. Maybe that's why. I don't know. That the boy had no idea, and he wasn't inclined to wait and find out. He needed to take action, and it had to be as soon as possible. One option would be trying again to run away. He had another escape plan in mind, but he was sure the visor had someone spying on him, so that made escaping still harder than before. What if, like, the secret end twist in this game? The Saw level twist is that Halim was actually the one working for Harun. Can you imagine? That would be so hilarious. On another hand, he was now the Sultan's favorite. Abd al-Rashid had the visor in high regard, but he was also fond of Adnan. Would the man believe him if he told him about the visor's threats? You literally, I think the Sultan would. I really think you should just tell the Sultan that Harun has been getting fresh with you. After giving it some thought, Adnan decided to put himself in the Sultan's hands in more ways than one, wink wink. Abd al-Rashid made him feel safe, and he was sure the man would help him as soon as he was aware of his problem. One whispered word and Rashid chose him for the night, almost jumping from the settee and out the exit door in surprise and impatience. What, because Adnan usually never approaches Rashid. So I guess he's like, alright, we can have some really freaky sex tonight. Ah, I'm so glad of being alone with you at last. I've been waiting the whole day for this moment. Why does he have to say these lame sentences all the time? Adnan awkwardly thought. I mean, when the puss is good, you know? When the puss is good. Help me with my turban, please. I'm boiling inside of these garments. Adnan took the... You don't look boiling, you're exposing a lot of skin. Adnan took the turban and cloak from Rashid's head and shoulders and put them away with great care and practice. Ah, much better now. And now, come here. He arched an eyebrow and grabbed Adnan's waist with a chuckle. Your Majesty, I beg your pardon. Pardon? Is that a word? Is it supposed to be pardon? Is pardon a word? I don't think it is. Rashid was already kissing his neck, but he moved back and smiled gently at him. Yes, what is it? I was wondering, can I speak to you about something? The Sultan turned serious and put a bit of distance between them, sensing the change of mood. Of course. Do you have any problem? How can I say it? Adnan had practiced his words beforehand, but all of a sudden his mind was blank. It's about His Highness, the Great Visor. Ah, him. His tone was cautious and hesitant, and Adnan couldn't tell if that was a good or bad sign. However, he had to keep on talking. Do you trust him, Your Majesty? Harun? I trust him with my life. Why? He's kind of scheming. Deflected, Adnan looked aside. What's wrong? What has he done? Nothing, Your Majesty. Doesn't matter. He went closer to Adnan and grabbed his chin, forcing the boy to look into his eyes. I'll be the one to decide if it matters or not. Have you had an argument? Kind of. Nothing important. I apologize for bringing it up, Your Majesty. Nothing important. He just wanted my hole. Adnan let go an audible sigh and walked to the bed, taking his jewelry off on his way. Let's go to bed already, Your Majesty. Your Majesty was impatient earlier, right? Any further complaint from Rashid had died in his throat when he saw Adnan sliding out of his clothes and stand in front of him, as naked as the day he was born. He forgot about the issue and hurried to undress himself and join Adnan in bed. In bread? In bed. Although we love some bread around here. In fact, Adnan was scared and cursing his bad luck. Of course the Sultan would trust the Visor more than him. After all, the Visor had served him for years, and Adnan was just his current whim, nothing more. No matter the words of love the man would whisper in his ear, Adnan knew his place. After his family history, he knew perfectly well the world of a wealthy man wasn't to be trusted. His infatuation would pass the same as his father got tired of his mother once time went by and new faces appeared in the harem. That was the harem slave fate. Nothing more, nothing else. All that night, Adnan lied awake in bed, staring at the canopy over his head, barely visible in the almost complete darkness. The Visor would try to strike again soon. Adnan would be locked in the dungeons again, to the mercy of that despicable man and whatever he wanted to do with him. The thought made him shudder. And how would His Majesty react when he found out? Adnan didn't want to see his disappointed face. The Sultan was a good person, and just the thought of hurting him made Adnan's chest ache. He buried his face in Rashid's wide chest and inhaled his fragrance. The scent always reassured him. Still smells so spicy. Rashid, deeply asleep, turned on his side and wrapped Adnan in a tight embrace. Adnan. His pulse raced when he heard the man muttering his name in his dreams. Adnan returned the embrace and kissed Rashid on his lips, softly and careful, not to awake him. Sweet dreams, Your Majesty. Ew, why is he here? The next morning, though, Adnan just woke up to Harun staring at them naked in bed. It was really creepy. Are you sure you can have breakfast with me, Adnan? Your Majesty, you know the Visors are waiting for you in the blue room. You are supposed to have breakfast with them while they give you their reports. Why can't Adnan just sit in his lap during all of that? I feel like he could. Haha, true. How could I forget about it when you keep reminding me every 5 minutes? I feel a little bit of annoyance on Rashid's part there. Adnan had helped Rashid to bathe and get dressed, dodging his grabby hands and his kisses more playfully than annoyed. Until the Great Visor arrived and both the Sultan and he tried to keep an all-business composure, well, mostly Adnan. Having breakfast with Adnan would be 100 times % nicer, but I guess it can't be helped. Adnan, you can leave now. See you tonight. Adnan bowed to him and left, with a light nod to the Visor but avoiding returning his gaze. Rashid watched him leave with a smile on his lips. Then he turned to the Visor with his pleasant smile turned into a polite one. By the way, I mean, by the way, I have some instructions for Halim that can't wait until lunchtime. Would you call him for me? What does he have to say to Halim? The visor frowned, visibly unhappy. Now, but your majesty. Please. Rashid kept his polite tone and expression, but he knew very well Harun could see that it was a direct order. The man sighed and left with a bow. Your majesty. Halim knocked on the door not 2 minutes later. By your leave! The boy bowed to the Sultan, all smiles as always. Ah, Halim, my good boy. Yeah. Don't call him your good boy. I thought Adnan was your good boy. I wanted to have a word with you. Halim didn't try to hide his puzzled expression. Of course, your majesty. The boy took a polite but firm stance like a soldier waiting for orders. Is he going to be like asking, what did Harun do to my boy Adnan? Did the Great Visor come back here with you? Dumbfounded, Halim took a moment to reply. No, your majesty. He left for the blue room, I think. Good. Then I can speak freely. This is about Adnan. He wanted to tell me something. Some issue or other with the Great Visor. Do you know something about that? About? Halim started rubbing his hands in anxiety. Alright, calm down. I know that man can be scary sometimes. Did something happen yesterday? Something that could frighten Adnan? With his lips still forming a tense line, Halim nodded. Something that involved Harun threatening or causing discomfort to Adnan. The boy nodded again. Can you give me details about it? Your Majesty, Halim was sweating and looking around the room like a caged animal. Rashid sighed and raised his hand to make him stop. I could remind you that my word is the law in this sultanate, and that I'm way above the Great Visor in the chain of command. But I don't want you to feel pressured or frightened. You already told me all I wanted to know, in fact. I did? Yes. Call the guard whose name is Hassan, and tell him I want to see him right after breakfast. Not a minute later, got it? Yes, your majesty. Is Hassan the one that's Halim's boyfriend? So the Sultan probably knows. Because he'll probably be like, you probably tell your boyfriend everything. I'll just have him tell me the rest. You can leave now. Halim, you're a good boy, and a good friend. Halim stopped by the door with a hand already in the handle, and turned to offer a wide smile at the Sultan. Thank you, your majesty. Oh, well, where are they now? He's about to address the guard. But, before he addresses the guard and maybe comes up with a punishment for Harun, finally, guys, I'm going to end this episode here. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time, where Harun finally gets his, his comeuppance, He's gonna get it from the Sultan. Maybe the Sultan will bend over Harun. Maybe that will be his punishment. It's like you try to bend over Adnan, I'll make you bend over, maybe. That'd be pretty fun. But, yeah, bye.